Hi, my name's Ilma and welcome to my channel. I've been posting Christian blogs 12 straight years every day, and today I'd like to share Genesis 30 verses 1 to 13. Here's the word of God. When Rachel saw that she bore Jacob no children, she envied her sister. She said to Jacob, "Give me children or I shall die." Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, "Am I in the place of God who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb?" Then she said, "Here is my servant Bilhah. Go into her, so that she may give birth on my behalf, that even I may have children through her." So she gave him her servant Bilhah as a wife, and Jacob went into her. And Bilhah conceived and bore Jacob a son. Then Rachel said, "God has judged me and has also heard my voice and given me a son." Therefore she called his name Dan. Rachel's servant Bilhah conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Then Rachel said, "With mighty wrestlings I have wrestled with my sister and have prevailed." So she called his name Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had ceased bearing children, she took her servant Zilpah and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Then Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a son, and Leah said, "Good fortune has come." So she called his name Gad. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a second son, and Leah said, "Happy am I, for women have called me happy." So she called his name Asher. Genesis 30, 1 to 13. And here's the poem I wrote inspired by those verses. Sibling rivalry between Leah and Rachel. As Leah and Rachel competed who is the better wife for Jacob, they both tried to gain as much offspring for their husband. Because Rachel was barren, she used Bilhah to make children for her, and since Leah stopped bearing, she made Zilpah be her surrogate. Here's my essay. In this account, we see the generational patterns in Abraham's family passed on to the generation of Jacob. We know that Jacob was Rebekah's favorite and Esau, Isaac's favorite son. We also see patterns of deceit in the life of Jacob when his wife's father tricked him to marry Leah before he got to marry Rachel. Most of us run into issues like sibling rivalry and deceptions in the family. It is almost hilarious yet dark to watch two women who are siblings be in bondage with their insecurities. Whenever we experience such negative feelings, we must be watchful, as this can be an open door for the enemy to work on our hearts. When we feel insecure, we probably are not focusing on what God has already given us. Reflection. What makes one insecure and competitive as this account narrates to us? Well, in James, he mentions about where quarrel comes from. It says that quarrel comes from the desires in our hearts or the cravings in our heart. We want something and we don't get it, so we try to crave for that thing. We pine for that thing, and so there is an enemy that tries to make us do things without us knowing. And it says in Ephesians 6 that we are dealing with unseen forces. There's a spiritual battlefield that we don't see, but is really there. So when we feel insecure, we might be focusing more on our flesh, on what our flesh desires, our cravings, our sinful nature, because God has been very faithful to his promises. Whatever he promised to us, he delivers. And sometimes the fact that we don't focus on gratitude, instead we complain and whine and we want more. And so that is the selfish nature, that is the flesh. So in this account, we know that Leah was not really the wife that Jacob wanted. It was Rachel, but then he was tricked by their father Laban, and so it's Leah became part of his, of his wife. And in those times, they could have concubines, they could have more than one wife. So, and then it's more complex because each of the wife have their own servants, and they even involve their servants to compete with each other who will give more children to Jacob. It is sad to watch when we become very competitive and very insecure, because competition usually comes out from our insecurity, from our desires that we can't have. So we try as much to compete and prove to ourselves, to everybody else, that we can do it. And so that is actually not following what God has planned for us, because we can't, we are very limited. We don't see what God has in store for us. So if we don't focus on the promises of God, we will focus on what we want. Thanks for watching. I hope you check my website at ILMA'S.com for artworks, photographs, and a copy of this blog. Please subscribe to my channel so I could make more videos and give you the Word of God. And if you haven't already, please check over 3,000 videos I've done. You can type on Google or YouTube search ILMA'S Poem Devotional and you'll access them. Thanks for watching.